Hey guys, this is Andrew Holmes from Chicago RIA, and I think you're in for a treat because we're here with Mr. Tom and Miss Alice Jenkins, and I really didn't know how exactly to title this one. I was going to call it Wholesaling 101, then I was like, it really doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are. Growing, right, is not a function of age. Growing is a function of your mental issues, right?
Exactly.
So I guess that's going to be the first question, right? And I'm going to put you on the spot,
Oh,
Tom.
okay.
How old are you?
73.
73.
73, yeah.
Oh, it's my turn, right?
Right.
I'm
Now-
67
67. Okay, so
and holding.
and holding, right? So my question is, and this was something that like I wanted to bring up because a lot of times, as people get older, right, the energy is gone, the whole thing is gone. Yet you guys started investing, right, at a later age in life.
Right.
What prompted you to come to real estate?
Go ahead.
Well, we had tried several other things, but we really liked the idea of investing. We had read Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich Dad Poor Dad, and so we thought, gosh, why not? Why not us?
So
And
did you guys ever consider? I mean, now I know you guys, right?
Right.
You guys are always full of life, or at least you pretend to be, right? Because maybe you don't have an option, right? But no, but the good thing is that you guys have always had this good, positive attitude, which helps. Well, is this something you guys adopt, or is this something you just that's how you are?
we've
No, it's
always
kind
been
of
that
the
way.
Flip Wilson, what you see is what you get.
Okay.
At least I'd like to think so. I don't think I have changed that much, although I probably have gotten more, as you age, you lose your inhibition. So
Right.
I'm more conscious that,
Right.
I can just say stuff and they'll think, hey, crazy old man talking about it.
Okay.
So it's not, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Got it.
And doing things like this is a lot of fun,
Right.
whereas probably 40 years ago I'd have been frozen.
Right.
Or
But
scared to
anyway,
death.
Scared
Got
to
it.
death, yeah.
So in terms of real estate investing, right? When did you guys do your first deal?
The,
What was
the,
that wholesale you're talking about?
yeah, in November
October
of
16.
2016, we actually
November
did our
of 2016.
we did our first wholesale
Okay.
deal. We
And
had
then-
done a lot of. We had attempted to do many other things. We had done what you would expect. We kicked a lot of tires and we made offers that
Like the
weren't
HUD
accepted.
thing.
It took us a while to really figure out how to
Got it.
make this work. And so it was 2016 of November. We had done some mailings, and we got a response. And we were able. At this point, we had tried and failed enough that we felt really comfortable talking to this seller, and we were able to bring to her enough expertise in what we had to say that she believed that we could actually sell our house.
Center. Okay, got it.
And we did.
Right. So you guys started. We met a year later,
Mhm.
almost, right?
Right.
October
2017.
2017.
Correct.
Okay. Now, since October of 2017, you guys have been on fire.
We've been
Right.
busy.
So, as far as full-time work, what do you do, Miss Ellis?
I work full time with an organization, and I spend a tremendous amount of time working in hospital development in Northwest Indiana.
Got it.
Semi-retired nursing home administration. I just do contract work now. I don't work for any specific employers.
Okay, got it.
But,
it's-
actually, prior to
so this is recent, right?
recent.
Before that, you were
recent.
working full-time.
He
Oh,
was
yeah, work
working
full-time,
full-time.
Yeah.
Okay.
and just recently now is doing contract
November
work.
of last
Okay,
year.
and the reason I ask that question is this, because a lot of times people will, meet somebody like them. When you hear the numbers, it'll make your head spin because they're like, oh my God, they must not do anything. They're retired,
Just sitting back, eating
they're
bonbons.
snowbirds, and this is something they do for fun. But you guys are serious about this.
We're very serious,
Very
and,
serious.
and I mean, we work all the time. I mean, when we're doing this when other people would be sleeping or watching TV or going to barbecues.
So I guess
we work all the time.
The question is this: why not just be like everybody else, right? I mean, the average American. You guys could choose to stay at that level, and you're not going to be rich, but you'll be okay,
We'd be all right.
right? Why not?
It'd be boring.
It's boring. It doesn't give us, that wouldn't give us a sense of completion.
Okay.
I think now, at this point, and maybe it is age to the degree that the older you get, you realize that crazy saying that life is like a roll of toilet paper.
Right,
The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
right,
We don't really have time to fool around with a lot of superfluous stuff.
Right.
We'd rather focus on this property we just closed on. It's fully rented. We're gonna have $1,900 a month rental income, about $1,100 of positive cash flow. We need about 10 more of these, and so that's our goal.
Got it.
Well,
So-
we're finding that. yeah,
Okay,
so.
got it. So it's basically, I mean, for a lot of people, it's an excuse, right? I'm old, I'm too short, I'm too tall, I'm too educated, I'm not educated, I have too much money, I don't have time. It's an excuse at the end of the day, right?
Probably
So I want to start with wholesaling 101 because that's kind of where you started, right? Why did you pick wholesaling?
Wholesaling was comfortable for us in a lot of ways. One was that it was no money out of our pocket.
Okay.
I mean, that's probably number one.
Okay.
Number two was that I have a marketing background. It made sense to me. I felt comfortable with the marketing to the consumer. I also felt comfortable talking to the consumer.
Got it.
I was not frightened by that telephone call where you go through and you're talking to that seller about their house.
Got it. So basically, it was you had a marketing background. You thought you could use it in the wholesale business.
That was easy peasy for
Okay,
me.
got it. And then the second part of it was that that you're like I don't want to put out a lot of money out of pocket,
No.
right? So both those things make sense,
Right.
right? So you used kind of the abilities you learned over your lifetime to try to hopefully help here in real estate,
Right.
right? So let me ask you this: if you had to start all over again, because you guys, we all have our stumbling blocks, all this kind of stuff, right? If you had to start all over again, and I asked you, what is the number one thing you would do to get started, right? What would be the first step?
Well, the first step, I think wholesaling was important. I mean,
Right.
that was the easiest way for us to get into it. But once we came to mastery and we
Right.
learned how to do buy and hold.
So before that, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's say
Okay.
somebody's not in mastery,
Okay,
right?
so they're
Do
not
I go to a RIA? Do I
Oh,
look
I
for
see.
what do I look for? Where do I start?
I
I
agree
see what
100%,
you're saying.
and my words in your mouth. Yes, RIA for us was the catalyst. That was the thing that put us in a room with people who were more experienced, who were looking for properties to buy, but didn't have the time to go and do the legwork. And we
So
said,
for RIA, for those people
Right.
that don't know,
Real estate
right?
investment
It's a real estate investment group around the country. I mean, if you're in Chicago, right? We have, I mean, there's hundreds of
Huge, yeah.
RIAs in town, but I mean, Chicago RIA obviously has 13 branches at this point, right? And you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of buyers. But for you, you guys actually don't live in Chicago.
No.
You guys live
Northwest
next
Indiana.
door. So
Right,
you're
next
northwest
door.
Indiana. I mean, literally across the border,
Across the-
right? And what works there works here, and vice versa,
Yeah.
right? So you go to the local RIA,
We
and
do.
then what were you looking for when you went there?
We were looking for buyers. We were looking to know who in the room is actively looking for properties that they can't find or they want to own or bid on, and that helped us know what their parameters were. One
Got it.
fellow said, "If I can't make 25,000, then don't talk to me." I said, "Okay, fine."
So this is a
we'll-
guy
we'll
you
run
now
our-
know for a flip, 25,000 per
He's a
flip.
flipper.
Okay, so
another
that makes
guy-
sense.
Yeah, another guy said, I need to be all in acquisition and rehab costs. I need to be all in at less than 50 to 75,000.
Got it. This is Northwest Indiana, mind you,
Right.
50 to
Northwest
75,000,
Different,
right? Different, a little bit different ball game, right?
same process, but different.
Different
values
numbers,
and
different
Right.
values,
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
So, and then what they did was, and which is important, a lot of times people will come to the RIA and they're like, oh, I'm a wholesaler. Every person is a wholesaler, right? And the challenge is, what you guys did unique was you actually back-ended into it, which you said, okay, for him to make $25,000 after rehab, what do I have to buy the property for? And then you guys need a margin for a wholesale.
Right.
Same thing if you're selling a property to somebody that's a cash flow or a rental investor, right? Same exact process. So once you did that, right, you went to the RIA, you started kind of separating the players from everybody that says, I'm going to buy, and then suddenly they're too busy or, their dog ate the money instead of the homework, right? Kind of thing. You separated the actual buyers, right? And the second step, in terms of where did you find these deals? Were they MLS deals or were they off market?
All off
Oh,
market.
All off market.
Off
Okay.
market.
So people tell me all the time, in Chicago, Andrew, you don't understand. There's no deal. I'm like, really? Right? There's no deal, right? I mean, you guys are in a relatively smaller
Yeah.
market compared to obviously
Oh,
us,
yeah,
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a teensy market,
Yeah.
It's one county,
right? Yet, how many deals are there? Thousands,
hundreds.
hundreds, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys went off market, so you're going after probates, foreclosures, all the stuff, vacant properties, right? So what did you do? Did you cold call people? Did you do mailings? Did you stick a sign on your car? What did you
We
guys
did
do?
all of that.
Both. We have
did that.
sign on our car now.
Oh, you have a sign on your car now. Okay, got it. Okay.
We did. We
With direct
did.
mail.
We did bandit signs. We did letters. When we first started, we didn't know anything
Right.
except to drive the neighborhoods. If we found that the grass was too high or the snow hadn't been removed,
So
or
old
the,
school marketing.
old
Old
school stuff, and we
Right.
would write literally. He would do the left side because he's driving the car, so
She'd
he's
take
he's
the
doing
right,
the
I'd
left
take the
side.
left.
I'm doing the right side, and we're writing these addresses down like crazy of
Yeah,
these
you know,
of these
it's-
houses, and then we go
Hold on,
home.
hold on. Right? This is funny because like a lot of times today people are like, Andrew, you know, it's technology. The technology is going to overcome all this stuff. This is old school, man. I mean, guys, this stuff makes money.
It does.
Right?
It does.
This crazy technology that all of us run after today. This is 101. Right? At one time you would ride your cart down thing, boy, you want to sell your farm? I mean, really it's no different.
Is there a difference?
I mean,
There's
it's no
somebody-
different.
Let me just interject. These crazy bandit signs, and the term was foreign to me. She got it right away because she's marketing, and
Yeah.
that's what she does. She said, "Oh no, this will work." I said, "God, please don't let anybody see me
Oh,
while
he
we're
still
driving."
doesn't want to get out of the car.
$3.50 sign. We have made right at $24,000
On a $3
on
sign.
a $3.50 sign. So if
$3
somebody thinks it
versus
doesn't
24,000
work, They need
return.
to listen to this. It works, okay? I don't care how skeptical you are. DirtCheapSigns.com. Buy them and stick them in the ground.
And it works.
And it works.
I mean, it's a numbers game at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
And guess who's going to call, right? Somebody who has no problem in their life is not going to call, right?
Right.
The people are going to call when they need you. I mean, this is just that simple.
They're in
right?
distress.
They're in
They are
distress.
distressed.
Right?
They are definitely in
That's
distress.
who we're
If they,
looking
if
for,
they,
right?
I mean, they're skeptical about calling a number off
Sure.
the sign, but they are desperate.
Right.
And-
So let's talk about the next thing, which a lot of people think about. They pick wholesaling, they go to a RIA, they identify the buyers, they put bandit signs, they start, kind of going around, right? And another thing you guys said, I want to kind of cover that, just touch on that, is farming, right? And this is not farming where you buy fertilizer and seed. This is real estate farming. No, I mean,
Yeah.
just people are going to be like, what is he
Well,
talking about,
farming
right?
money.
And the method is very simple, actually, right? You can take in Chicago, you would take a small part of a suburb, right? You don't take the entire suburb. You take a small part of a suburb, literally identify 5 or 8 foreclosures in that suburb. And what happens when you go to it? Because the magic happens even if you don't get any of those. But while you're driving, what do you find?
You find others.
You find other deals.
You find others that were not on, like I said earlier, we took a list of 30 names, foreclosures. We drove to one and then did a 4-block radius and drove some more. And that's when we found that God, look at this thing has been obviously vacant for a long time. It's grass is overgrown. There's mail coming out of the mailbox. Write it down. Did that on about 4 or 5 of them. Then we look them up on the county tax assessor website. So we get the address and the name of the owner. We send a marketing letter and follow
It
up
works.
with that. And
It
it
does
works.
work.
It works, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about money, right? Because a lot of times people get started, or people that want to do wholesaling. Sometimes people have money and they look at wholesaling as a way to build some cash reserves, and then do investing, right? What type of a budget did you guys put initially when you started?
Oh, when we started, it was real simple.
Maybe 150 to 300 a week.
So 150 to 300. So basically, $400 or $500 max a month
Right.
to start with,
Just
right? And this is something that's interesting because a lot of times I hear from people, they're like, well, wholesaling doesn't work, Andrew. I'm like, really? They're like, well, what did you do? Well, I did a mailing. Like, how many mailings did you put out? Well, I put out 5,000. What did it cost you? Well, maybe $6,000. I'm like, you did one mailing. So if you screw up one mailing, guess what? Your whole budget is shot. You're broke at the end of the thing,
Right.
and you get no results.
Right.
Because when you scaled up to it, your scaling up wasn't like spending thousands of dollars, right? I mean, it was a very limited budget. What did you get up to in terms of You got up to what?
I
About
think 1,500 was.
1,500.
was the most we
2,000.
spent
that's the most.
in a
Right.
month.
But
Okay.
it was consistent, and we
Right.
got better
Every
and
week
better
we
at
sent
pinpointing where we wanted to
50
be.
letters out.
And what we also found when you're doing mailings, and this has happened to us several times, is that a year later, we've gotten the
Oh,
call.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and somebody said, hey, I held on to this letter.
Got it. And you do one mailing and quit. What do you do?
Oh, no, we just keep
Every
going.
week.
Keep
You just
going.
keep going.
Kept going.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Good.
At least
Cons-
6 mailings.
At least 6
At
mailings.
least
Okay.
six.
So
To
this is a
that
6 to
person.
7 is the magic number,
Yeah.
right? So the next thing is, let's say you find Mr. and Mrs. Seller.
Mhm.
They're in distress. You get the property under contract, right? Now, everybody wants to know, right? The money deal. How much money can you make? Now, mind you, they happen to be in the Indiana market, right? Your property's 80, 100,000, right? Anywhere from 50 to 100, right? 150. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? These are inexpensive properties relative to us.
Oh, right, I mean, it was 60,000.
3-bedroom, 1-bath ranch, no basement. Very
Yeah.
clean, vanilla.
Very, very small properties.
Very-
So, what kind of money have you made when you've been doing? Like, what's the range?
Oh, the range.
Oh, anywhere from 2,500 to 15,000.
Okay, 2,500 to 15,000,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so before we met, right? What had you been doing? Only wholesales,
Only wholesale.
right? And it was like they were like the chewing gum wholesalers to me, right? Which is like you get itty bitty taste, and then you have to spit it out, pop another one in,
That's
right?
right.
Because you guys were making $2,500, $3,000. That was kind of the, and I'm going like, oh my God, with this much work, they can be doing so much better,
Correct,
right? So you've kind of changed your tune,
totally.
right? You've totally changed your tune. So 2,500 to 15,000, right? So let's kind of start with, so in the last year and a half,
Mhm.
right? You've done a ton of deals, right? And counting. So let's start with the wholesales.
Okay,
Since we met, how many wholesales have you done?
we've done 2.
2. And then your loan thing, the loan,
Oh,
There's a
3.
one
So
loan
3.
That's
assumption,
right, 3.
yeah.
one loan
That's right.
assumption
That's
that
correct,
you
3.
sold,
Mhm.
and then so total of 3,
3.
right? So wholesale number 1, what did you make?
2,500.
2,500. Wholesale number 2, what did you make?
15.
15.
15,000.
Right.
Now, mind you, let me qualify that. 15,000 was in the southwest suburbs of Chicago,
It was a
right? Because they're
Chicago.
kind of right by Indiana
Mm-hmm.
border, right? You actually sold it to somebody from Mastery, from Chicago RIA, right? That bought the property.
And the
Yeah.
referral actually came from a sign in Indiana.
But the bandit sign is what triggered that one.
Triggered that one.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. So that was 15,000, and then you did a third one. How much was that?
Loan assumption was 6,800.
68.
6,800. So that's about 25,000 bucks.
Yeah.
Okay, not a bad start, right?
Not a bad
So
start.
you suddenly kind of ramped up the business. Now, on top of the wholesales, you guys did one flip.
One.
One
Right?
flip in Chicago.
You had to try a big one. I mean, actually, a smaller house. What did you buy that property for?
We bought it ultimately for 41.
41,000. Okay. And what was the initial thought when you bought it for 41,000? What was your line of thinking? What was my line of thinking?
Initially, we were looking at it as a buy and hold rental.
Okay.
It was vacant for 9 years, had 8 inches of water in the basement.
So a mess.
Oh, total mess.
Okay.
Total mess. And discussed it initially with Rahul. He said, no, just rent it for about $1,500, $1,600 a month, which is true. And then the more we went, he said, well, now wait a minute. What's the basement look like? I said, well, once it's cleaned out and the water's gone, you'll have a nice 1,100 square foot open space. He said, put a bathroom down there and finished it off. Now you've got a 3-2 with 2,200 square feet instead of a 3-1 at 1,100. So we did, and then we amped up the construction costs or the renovation costs.
So you changed it to a flip, though.
Changed
we
it
went
to a
to
flip.
Right.
We went-
So, and this flip didn't go like you wanted it to.
Not exactly, no.
Okay. So you bought it for 41. 90 is what you put in the property.
Budget was 68.
Budget was 68. Okay. And then what did you sell it for?
Ultimately, it sold at 165.
165.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times people will attempt these, and I have been 100% against these.
Yes.
Right? I mean, these are the properties I think you should just wholesale to somebody else, right? Make 5-8 grand and let them handle the headache. Because if you think about it, a year worth of carrying costs, right, or more, right? 41,000 purchase, 90,000. That puts you at about what?
130.
130, right? And then on top of that, you're paying all this carrying cost. You sell the property at 165, virtually, you're making no money.
Right.
And why? I mean, now, if you like abuse, maybe come to the, we're happy to, put you here, we'll just whip you and we'll record it and we'll laugh at you that you like abuse. No, but I mean, this is just torture,
It
right?
was.
But I'm glad you went through that because you never learned some of those things, right? So now, looking at that, if somebody else offered you a project like this, would you do it?
No.
Run.
Run,
Just
right?
run.
No, okay, good.
I'm
No,
telling
actually,
you,
we
run.
would do what you suggested initially, and
Right.
that is just wholesale the sucker.
Just wholesale the
Just
sucker,
wholesale.
right?
Wholesale.
Make money and just get rid of it,
Right.
right?
Do
And
not attempt this.
And the point, I think, which you guys have gotten really well, is the best properties you should be keeping for yourself, holding,
Correct.
right? And the ones that are too exciting, let somebody else
Worry
get
about
all the excitement. You get a nice wholesale fee out of it, and then give it to somebody else,
Yeah.
right? So now let's talk about, so we're 3 wholesales, 25,000, 1 flip. We're not going to talk about it anymore,
No,
right?
thank you.
Because it's pretty much a wash and a lot of headache, right?
It's a
Learning
learning experience.
Yeah, Chicago Tollway was happy because of the back and
No,
forth,
didn't they?
right?
Oh,
The amount of toll they collected.
Right.
But and then let's talk about rentals because that was the big change. That
Yes.
not only did you guys start making more on your wholesales, but in the last year and a half, you have basically, because that was the biggest thing. I'm like, guys, you can't be wholesaling all these properties. You got to keep some for yourself, right? So how many total rentals so far, either in the pipeline or you've already finished?
Right. We have
3,
we have,
it's in a total of 5.
5 doors.
Total of 5,
Five
We've
doors.
right?
completed,
And then 2 on the way,
Right.
like
2
2
are
are under
duplexes.
contract.
in the hopper, right?
In the hopper, okay? So 7 deals.
Yeah.
On 7 deals, and this is something that is important to understand, right? On 7 properties, after purchase, rehab, and refinance, right? Which is 257, right? 2 years, 5 properties, pay them off in 7. The formula we use. On the 7 properties, how much actual money out of pocket are you gonna have?
Actually,
Net,
out
net.
of pocket, I would say it would be less than $10,000.
Less than
Probably
10.
5 to 10,000.
Maybe
out of
5 to
our
10.
pocket. The oops factor, oh, we didn't do, okay, we'll do it, we'll put it
Okay,
in.
got it. But, I mean,
very marginal.
very
Yeah.
marginal,
Very
okay,
marginal.
if anything.
I
On
mean, just following the cookbook.
Cookbook,
Right,
right.
exactly.
So basically that 257, right?
Right.
So now, and then how much cash flow is that on 7 properties?
$2,800.
$2,800, right? So think about this, right? $2,800 cash flow. Let's just say for a second, they stop. They don't do any more properties. So if you take 2,800 times 12, right? Times 11 a year. You put some vacancy in there. It's fine, right? That's, guys, that's about $30,000 all day long for the rest of their lives, and you have equity in every single
Every single
property.
one.
25 to 30% equity in every single property.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
Right? You do realize that even though you did okay with wholesales last year,
We did.
right? It will never compete with this,
No.
ever.
No.
No.
It's impossible, right? Because somebody could do 10 wholesales, make 130, 140,000 bucks, and never be able to compete with because this money keeps coming in for the rest of your life.
The wholesale is gone.
The wholesale is gone,
Yeah. Over.
right?
Yeah.
Because you get, what's the goal for you guys? I mean, this is like the numbers
yeah.
here. Now, mind you, your properties are Northwest Indiana.
Right.
That's where it's sticking,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your cash flows, and their cash flows high for 2 reasons. Number one, they're finding phenomenal deals, right? And instead of giving the phenomenal deal and basically doing a chewing gum with it, which is taking a small little profit, right? You're keeping it for yourself,
Right.
right? And on top of that, you're controlling your construction costs,
Yes.
Yep.
right?
Yes.
So your cash flows are just ridiculous. So what's the goal?
Well, we did the LPN.
LPN. So LPN, for
Life
people that don't
property
know,
number.
it's lifestyle, property, number.
Yeah.
How many properties do you need to have the lifestyle that you want?
36.
36 properties.
Right.
Damn, that's ambitious.
If
You're
we
buying
live
a
long enough,
yeah.
Yeah, if we live on it.
Yeah.
but we will.
No, but
But even
36.
so,
I mean, let's just
Yeah.
be.
even if we
let's
did
just
15,
even if you did 15,
right?
right? I mean, you guys have kids?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Not in the house, no.
No,
They're
but
all
I mean,
grown.
yeah, but you do realize
adult
they're going to
children.
end up pretty good, you know.
That's
That's
the plan.
exactly right.
I mean,
That's
pretty
exactly
good.
right.
I mean, is it is the plan, because let's just be honest, right? Beyond maybe at 10 or 12, right? You guys are not flashy people, right? You seem to, from what I know of you guys, you live pretty much within your means, you know, if not below, right? You're very conservative in terms of at least your economics, right? And so it's not that you need all this money, but what motivates you?
The legacy.
Legacy. Okay.
Having our children have something besides a visit to a cemetery looking at a headstone.
Okay.
That's what we remember. No, this is designed to create cash flow for them and ownership. If they wanted to sell one of them, fine, sell them. They're deeded to you, in thirds or whatever.
I mean, you realize that, I mean, in fact, 99.999% of Americans could never, I mean, this is not even a joke. I mean, it's impossible to leave a legacy of 15, 20, 30 properties,
That would be awesome.
right?
The sad part is it came to us late in life, okay?
Yeah, but it's, you know, what they say,
The
right?
wisdom of that should have been at 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
When we were looking for a franchise, we should have stopped and said, no, real estate, but it didn't fit, it didn't fall together.
Right.
We hadn't
In
met
our
you yet.
experience.
Right.
Yeah,
I
we-
mean,
we
no,
had-
it's just,
yeah,
I think what it is this,
Last
that the sophistication with which, and these are old strategies, right? These are the strategy of 257. It's a forced way of paying off real estate at a very rapid pace, right? This is, the basic strategy is not new. How we do it today is new, right? The techniques we can use, and I mean, basically pay off properties at a pace which is just unbelievable. So as we wrap this up, any final words to people listening? Say, oh my God, this is awesome. But you guys doing awesome and changing your own life, it doesn't help, right? What do you say to the person watching? Is it possible for them?
Go ahead.
I think it's
Well,
absolutely possible. It is critically important that you take the time to study and to learn and to talk to people and learn how this is possible for you. It's possible for us because we were willing to risk. You know, be willing to step out and do something different. Be willing to ask those hard questions and be willing to get up off the sofa and do something that will put money in your pocket and leave a legacy for your family.
Brian Tracy, one of the country's leading motivational writers and speakers, has a great book called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. If you haven't read it, you need to get it, because what we're talking about really for us was a way of changing our thought process. We could have sat back and said, oh well, we're just going to have to rely on retirement income and Social Security. We said, no, that doesn't fit. That's not the end of the rainbow. We need to do something differently, and that's when we consciously made that decision back in 2014 to jump into the real estate investment side. It's because of recently the Mastery tool, thanks to you folks, has given us that ability to look at not just a wholesale, but, oh no, this can be an incredible buy and hold. And here's how you do it. We wouldn't have done that prior to.
No, I mean,
October
it's
27th.
what is interesting and what is really why I have so much respect for you guys, because it's like, you know, I see so many people, right, that have so much going for them, yet what happens is we all have an excuse. And the excuse is related to either money, credit, age, oh my God, you don't understand where I came from, right? Or you don't understand who my parents were. It really doesn't matter, right? We all have pretty much the same 5, 6, 7 excuses. They don't change, right? It's just the question is this: are you going to use an excuse for not doing something, or are you going to use that excuse to do something, right? There's only two types of people. The people who win in life use those excuses or use those obstacles and say, hey, guess what? We're going to overcome those, right? So guys, thank you so much. I think this is going to be very inspirational to people. And for everybody listening, come out, meet Tom and Alice. Thanks a bunch. Have a good day.